We're here today. We're going to install a set of equalizers on this boat here. It's a new product on the market. It helps with stowing and deploying of the trolling motor, especially on the Motorguide mounts like this. It really helps quiet them down. It's a cool little product. We're just going to go through a little step-by-step process on how to install them and how they work. So we're going to go from there. We do have to drill a few holes in the mount. So one of the first things you want to look at is to make sure you can get to this area of your mount properly, to be able to drill a straight hole. On this particular boat, most of your newer boats are having the raised consoles and all. So what we're going to have to do is take this mount off to make sure that we can install the equalizers properly. All right, we'll be installing a set of our basic white equalizers on this mount today. You'll get 2 equalizers. The kit also comes with a template to let you know where you need to drill your holes. And there. We got our mounting hardware right here, all marine grade stainless steel. Never have a problem with corrosion or rust on these. The other thing you'll get is step-by-step instructions on how to do everything. And you'll also get a picture of your mount with some your basic guidelines on where you might need to drill your holes or parts of the mount that you'll need to line your template up with. So now that we know all that, we'll get started on getting some holes drilled and get these things installed. Now, what I like to do right here, once I have my template in place, I like to use my 5/16 drill bit, line it up in my hole here, and basically just give myself a center point that I'll come back to in a second. Same thing here, just square it up. We'll just make 2 little indentions on the mount. Like I say, we'll come back to that in just a second. You now take your template, flip it over to the other side, stick it right back down on there. Same thing. Basically, we're done with our template at this point. Now that we've made sure all of our marks in the right place, what we'll do is come in with a center punch. Just center punch our marks that we made earlier for a drill bit. And now we're ready to start drilling some holes. At this point, I always like to just run a small pilot bit through to make sure all my holes are still straight and square. Some guys just go in and punch the 5/16 hole. I like to take the extra step. Right now we're going to install our ball studs. If you'll pay close attention, there are 2 different lengths here. Our short one are going to go on our arms. Our long ones are going to go on our base. Real simple. Have your mount in this position here. Your short ones are always easy to do. Just slide it through there, get it started, and go ahead. You can just go ahead and tighten these down right now, and you'll be done with this side of it. Now that we have our short ones installed and tightened down, we're going to put our long ones in. The easiest way to do this is to lay your mount over. Be very careful not to catch your hands or anything inside that mount. It will hurt. What we do now is you will leave your lock nut here, basically right up against your ball stud. I actually made a special tool to hold this nut in place, but any 1/2 inch wrench will work. And we're going to do the same thing here. Just basically slide it through there, get our nut started. Like I say, we want to make sure our lock nut is up. We have plenty of wiggle room there. We're just going to put our nut on the inside of it there, get everything lined up, and get it started. These nuts we're using are Nylox, so they will prevent backing off and keep everything good and tight down the line. After installing numerous equalizers, we have found that if you just tighten this down to where your threads start poking through your nylock on the other side, that's going to put you pretty close to where you need to be on clearance with the equalizer. When you put your long ball stud in, it's kind of hard to see in the mount here, so we pulled one out. But this is basically what you want it to look like inside your mount. Basically, you want your ball stud pretty much flush with your nut. And this, at this point, you know, we'll adjust from there, but that'll be a good starting point. So we'll go ahead and pop the other one on at the same time. Now that we have our equalizers loose, as a precaution, I always like to just put a little bit of drop of Loctite on my threads. Just to, like I say, man, I don't want to be out there fishing and something come loose, so we lock these down good and tight. What we'll do now is just tighten this stuff up good and tight as we can get it, button it back up, get it on the boat, and go enjoy it. You want to be very careful at this point. These springs have a lot of gas pressure on them, and they can be very dangerous. I don't recommend ever using it without the motor in the mount for this reason here. I'm holding pressure on it to slow it down, but if you let it go and somebody was behind it, it could seriously injure them.
God damn it.
All right, we're ready to install the mount back on the boat. One thing you want to look at on your newer boats, a lot of them are running these bigger, taller, wider consoles to accommodate today's electronics. So you want to make sure you have clearance around here, that you're not hitting anything. We have plenty of room here on this particular boat. We're not going to have any issues. But if we did have issues, the way we have solved that is we've come up with 1/2 inch and 1 inch spacer plates. They fit right up underneath the mount. It's a good clean install, and what that allows us to do is raise this mount up to give us clearance. What we've done, we've disconnected the equalizers here. We're going to get a base weight with a digital scale and hook the equalizers up and see how much difference it makes. We had a reading of 56 pounds. We've reinstalled our equalizers here. We're going to take another digital reading and see where we're at. We have a max reading of 23 pounds. As you can see, with the massive weight reduction as a tournament angler, how it's going to benefit you throughout the day. When you're running and gunning, picking this thing up 40, 50, 60 times a day, when you cut that weight in half, it is going to save your back, shoulders, knees, the whole thing. The one great benefit about the equalizer is not only does it take weight off in this direction, but when you're coming from the stowed direction up, you also have the assistance of the equalizers. So in both directions, you have weight reduction. So get out there, catch some fish, and enjoy these things.